I'm doing it. This is my first walking and talking YouTube video. Why I'm even doing this is because for so long I've had this calling to transmute what I've been through in my life, the dark times, and pushing through them to get through to the light and to take the learnings and to share them to help other young men. So here we are. And how this has all really come about is just by trusting the inner knowing. And I think that's one of the most powerful tools or meta skills that one can develop is self-trust. Now I'm going up a hill, so I'm losing a bit of my breath, but trust in themselves. Now, what does that mean? It means when you know something deep inside, whether a job is right for you, whether the relationship you're in, whether this habit that you're doing is aligned, is that almost quiet voice that is telling you, no, this isn't for you. And it's trusting that. And the more you trust that, the greater your life will become, because it pulls you onto a path of congruence. The path that is for you, because really what that voice is I don't even know really what it is, but I think it's a connection to not only your deep subconscious, but the connection to divinity itself. Oh, yeah. Now that's big, because I swear to God, every time that I've listened to that voice, it's taken me so far, whether it be, well, I'll give you an example. I was in a relationship for just under 3 years with someone that I loved ever so dearly, and that was so special to me, but I knew for so long that that person was not going to be my wife because of certain habits, etc. But I think really what it came down to was not what I consciously knew, but what I subconsciously felt. No, this is not for you. And leaving that relationship, I don't want to say she was my growth limiter, because that's not true. The relationship had become my biggest growth limiter. And I began to realize this on the conscious level, but subconsciously, I already knew for so long, but it just took more pain to begin to realize this on a conscious level. And anyway, as I left this relationship, I then moved to Bali and had one of the most transformational periods of my life, where I really got to heal inner trauma that I'd been carrying from, that I built up through the relationship, and also beyond that, that I had built up from childhood. So it's like this inner voice, it knows. And it's the same voice that's been telling me to start long form content, and before that to quit my marketing agency and start a personal brand, and before that to quit my chartered management degree apprenticeship and start my own marketing agency. And you could, but could you not argue that you're just pussying out of these things? No, I think it's taking you closer and closer to where you want to go. For example, with my personal brand, I started posting short form content, and perhaps that wasn't the right modality for me. And then this modality of longer form content has come into play. It's almost what's on that wall the other side, and it's calling towards you. I saw Joe Rogan speak about this with Robert Downey Jr. And they say they believe in this too, this almost intuition that is knocking at the wall. There's 4 walls, and there's one just knocking behind this wall, and they're like, that one. And then they go through it, and then magical things happen. Like there's something there. There's something there, and you can say, that's woohoo. But science is on purposely limited. Science is not meant to go into all of this deep connection and divinity, because I think science is largely to measure what is on this physical plane, this physical realm. And beyond that, it can't be measured, because it's not, you're using physical instruments to try and measure something that is beyond. And I think that is where this almost inner voice is trying to, is coming from. And it does sound a bit woohoo, because it is. And there's something weird as well. As you get healthier, as you're more in tune with nature, this voice becomes clearer and clearer. And the more you listen to it, the more congruent your life becomes, the more present you are, the more joy you get out of life. Because look, like before all of this journey, I was in a dark place, smoking weed, drinking, going out, getting in fights and shit like that. And then I started to listen to this voice, because I hit rock bottom and I had nothing else to do. So, you know what? Why don't I listen to this voice that is trying to improve my life? And as I began to listen to that voice, guess what? My life became better and better in ways that I couldn't even begin to quantify from where I was, because at the time I had such a limited perception of what life was, because my life was so restricted. But when you listen to this voice, when one listens to this voice, life becomes more and more of a dance, less of a battle of survival, and more as a flow with life. And that's cool, if not epic. So my biggest bit of advice for my younger self would be just to listen to it and enact on it. But then it's not always easy. Sometimes you don't know what this voice is, and that's a skill in itself, determining what is this voice that is trying to guide me to greater heights, because obviously other voices can come into play, the voice of the ego, etc., and cloud your judgment. But I think deep down you always know. I think deep down, if you spend enough time clearing all of the other fluff, there's still that quiet voice that remains, that knows what the journey is for you. Yeah. Yeah. Life is special. It really is. And even saying that brings a bit of emotion to me, because life has been really tough to me. I'm not saying that to victimize myself, but just to put it out there, because sometimes I don't even acknowledge it myself. I grew up in a really, really intense house. There wasn't a lot of space for young Jacob, if any. Yeah, I grew up in a really intense environment. There wasn't a lot of love and attention for young Jacob, and as a child you need that. And then school, fell in with the wrong crowd. Don't know how much I even agree with that statement, because they were a bit like me in many ways. But I ended up smoking weed at 14, going out drinking at a young age, getting absolutely shit-faced because I had so much pain on the inside and I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know what to do with it, so I just couldn't face it because I didn't even know it was there. It was just so subconscious. I didn't even know it was there. But it was still like painful on a conscious level. So I just sought to escape the world, which is quite sad. Because if you don't enjoy living, what do you have? So yeah, I'd escape, I'd mess around in school. I was one of the naughtiest kids in my year, if not one of the whole school, and drinking, smoking, then smoking so much weed to the point that, it turned me a bit crazy. And then I began to suffer with like immense chronic pain on top of it. My throat felt like there was a vortex in it, and I couldn't see properly because it affected my vision as well, and I couldn't speak properly, and just, that really destroyed me. That really made me hit rock bottom big time, because I couldn't even escape. I couldn't even smoke weed anymore to escape because I was so anxious about this, and it just affected my life in such a big way that I just had nothing. I had nothing to run from, and then I ended up hitting rock bottom, and even now, just the pain of it, just the dark times. I felt so lonely because, as I said, like when I was young, my family didn't really have too much time for me, and that's not their own fault. Obviously they had their own stuff to deal with, but same thing when I was older. Like, I didn't really have anyone to talk to, and I went to the doctors about this and they couldn't find anything. I went to specialists, they couldn't find anything. They even tried to just prescribe me with antidepressants and say it was something that I was just making up in my own head, which was bullshit. But part of me believed that, but part of me didn't. So that's when it even got a bit rockier in my own head. But I chose not to give up. I chose to go towards, almost picture this, like in my mind, I've got this just darkness, but there was one glimmer of hope, which was the gym. I started going to the gym in lockdown. And before you say, oh, you're going to the gym in lockdown, what are you doing? Well, my dad built a gym in the shed in lockdown. Bear with me, I'm just avoiding some cow shit. And yeah, built this gym in the shed in lockdown, so I started working out, and this was at the same time that this chronic pain was culminating, was coming about, and and yeah, that was my ray of hope. It wasn't a bit of medication from the doctors. They were like, oh, Jacob, you're making it up in your head. You're just anxious. Have some antidepressants. No, it was the gym. And the gym genuinely saved my life, because if I didn't have the gym, then I probably would have chosen to exit the game. Wow, sorry, there's just such a great view over there. I'm just a bit almost taken aback by it. Let's get back to it, the gym. I'm flummoxed. I haven't actually ever seen this view before. Let's flip it round. Come on, there we go. Look at that. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh yeah. Yeah. Better not fall off this hill. All right, come on, get back on me now. Get back on me. Don't want to fall down a rabbit hole. Let me take a seat, actually. Yeah, it was the gym. The gym alleviated my symptoms, my chronic pain, better than any medication that the doctor gave, and it just gave me a bit of freedom, and it taught me so much. It taught me, like, if you put a bit of effort into something, you dedicate yourself, you push, start eating right, you can get results. And I started to just see my muscles in the gym. I was like, fuck. Because before this, I just coasted through life. I just did the bare minimum and just wanted to smoke and just escape life. But then the gym came in and it was like, fuck yeah, you've got power. And it taught me I had power. And I was like, yeah. But I still had the chronic pain, and I was still battling it with it heavily. Yeah, and then a special someone came into my life, and the girl that I mentioned earlier. And for the first time, I was really seen. Going back to the parents, didn't really get seen by them, but she then came and she was like, Jacob, your pain is my pain, and I love you, and I'm here with you, and we'll get through it. And that was just, wow. That was something. But anyway, that relationship came to an end because, once again, it comes back to knowing what's right deep down. But it broke me. It did break me. But even in that, that's a whole nother video in itself of just splitting up and becoming my greater self through that as well. And that just goes back to it as well, is that these tough times, they're there for you. That chronic pain, I look back at it as one of my biggest blessings, because without it, I probably would be dead in a ditch somewhere, because I would have maybe overdosed on drugs or just been beaten up badly and just left at the side of the road. But thankfully that chronic pain led to me hitting rock bottom, and at rock bottom I found myself. And that's an interesting thing to even say. At rock bottom I found myself. Wow, like what? I found my power. And then she came into my life and taught me that I was loved. Yeah. And then in the moment when I split up with her, I realized how much I could love, because I realized how much I loved her. I thought I was faulty. I thought I couldn't love, but I'd built up so much armor throughout my life that, built up so much armor throughout my life that I closed myself off to feeling love and receiving love and loving. Yeah, and that was a tough one. And then that split me open, and that was then the journey of self-love and beginning to love myself more and more. And it all comes back to just learning to trust that inner voice that knows. Like that inner voice, when I was suffering that chronic pain, that inner voice was, Jacob, like, go to the gym. Jacob, you've got this. Like, don't give up, Jacob. Like, we've got this. You're here. And when in the relationship, it was like, Jacob, this like, it's not for you, brother. It's not for you. I know you love her, but it's not for you. And then after the relationship, I was still living, I'd moved back into my family home from my uncles, and even that, it was like, Jacob, like, this is not for you. Get out. What you doing? Come on. And I moved to Bali and had a beautiful journey there. And yeah, still in the marketing agency, but deep down I knew even before I started the agency that, oh, Jacob, this marketing agency, it's not for you. You know, you're meant to be doing this personal brand and posting content and helping other young men on their journeys. And then I finally got brave enough to listen to that. And like, here I am. And it's just the start of this journey, but I feel congruent. That's not to say it's not without its challenges, but it feels aligned. When I think of my future and my vision, I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is it. Where the marketing agency, it was a means to an end. And just to end this video, finally the chronic pain got diagnosed after 3 or 4 years, yeah. One specialist came in, he looked down my throat, and in the instant he knew it was, and he ordered this scan that no other doctor had ordered before. And I found out what it was, an enlarged hyoid bone, pushing on nerves, causing this eye pain, speech, etc. And he said, there's nothing we can do about it. I was like, all right, because by then I'd made peace with it. Not only had I made peace for it, I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for it, that it broke me, and because it made me into who I am today. And that's the same with the relationship. It's the same with getting my dream job and then quitting that because I knew it not to be right anymore, or leaving my childhood home and going and venturing off to the Far East. It's the same. It's like all of those tough times, all of those times of internal battle and strife then led on to amazing, beautiful moments of growth and presence, because that's ultimately, I think, the goal of life, is just to become so aligned, so congruent, that you are just so present and you are just magnetic to your goals, because you're just so centered in the here and the now. Because when you're centered in the here and the now, you're centered in life, because life only exists in this very moment. Think about it. Yeah, it doesn't exist in the future or the past. It's literally the only moment that truly exists is the now. Wow. And anyway, this is my first video done. One of many. Thank you.